higher television ratings, higher attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized it, but you didn't do it.
Take a listen to what Stephen A. Smith said recently on national television regarding the unprecedented phenomenon of Caitlin Clark's gravity. He looked directly into the camera and said, and I quote, "Caitlin Clark is the golden goose of the WNBA. She is the sole reason these arenas are sold out, and if you mess with that formula, if you allow coaching incompetence or petty internal politics to derail her momentum, the fans will not just complain on social media. They will stop showing up, and they will hit you right in your wallet." That real, undeniable truth from one of the biggest voices in sports media perfectly sets the stage for the absolute madness we just witnessed in Indianapolis, because what we saw tonight was a paradox of epic proportions. The Indiana Fever got themselves a desperately needed victory at home against the Seattle Storm, winning by a final score of 89-78. It was a blowout. It was dominant. It was everything the analytical community and the diehard fans have been begging to see. But as the final buzzer sounded on this double-digit victory, the television cameras panned across the sprawling expanse of Gainbridge Fieldhouse and revealed a terrifying multi-million-dollar financial reality that the front office can no longer hide behind carefully crafted PR statements. There were nearly 3,000 empty seats in Indianapolis. 3,000 empty seats against a professional WNBA opponent, with Caitlin Clark, the biggest draw in the history of women's basketball, playing completely out of her mind on the floor. Welcome to the unapologetic, unvarnished truth of the Indiana Fever season. The story of this victory over the Seattle Storm is not just about the basketball being played on the hardwood. It is about the glaring, undeniable, and deeply uncomfortable gap between what happens when Caitlin Clark goes into absolute hyper-efficient Superman mode on the court, and what happens when an enraged, alienated fan base executes a devastating, highly organized financial boycott against the leadership structure surrounding her. Today, we are going to break down every single angle of this situation, from the breathtaking basketball mathematics of Clark's performance to the systemic rot that is keeping fans at home. Let us start with what Caitlin Clark actually did tonight on the floor, because this was the exact, precise performance the fan base, the analysts, and frankly, anyone who understands the game of basketball has been waiting to see. She did not need a grueling, back-breaking 37-minute grind. She did not need to run on absolute fumes in the fourth quarter. She did not need to play through complete physical and mental exhaustion just to cover up for a broken offensive system. Instead, she delivered an absolute, undeniable masterclass in exactly 23 minutes and 42 seconds of playing time. This was her own offensive system for the Indiana Fever, fully actualized. She came out of the locker room, set the tone immediately, and distributed the basketball at a level that forcefully reminded everyone in the basketball world exactly why she is the greatest, most visionary point guard in the league right now. She finished the night with 21 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. She shot a highly efficient 50% from the field, knocking down 5 of her 10 attempts. She hit multiple deep three-pointers that completely broke the spirit of the Seattle Storm's perimeter defense. But most importantly, she went a flawless, completely automatic 9 for 9 from the free throw line. Now, let us do the basketball mathematics on that level of production. 10 assists in under 24 minutes of playing time is a staggering, almost incomprehensible pace. If you extrapolate those numbers, it translates to roughly 17 assists over a full 40-minute game. She was diagnosing the defense before the Seattle Storm even crossed half court. She was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. She found Sophie Cunningham cutting perfectly to the basket. She found Misha Hines-Allen sealing her defender deep in the post. She read every single defensive rotation, every hedge, every aggressive trap at the top of the key, and she delivered the exact pinpoint pass that completely shattered the opposing defensive scheme. That stat line is not just a standard double-double. That is a near triple-double achieved in less than half of a professional basketball game. This is what happens when a generational star is managed properly. This is what Caitlin Clark looks like at her absolute terrifying peak, operating at maximum offensive efficiency when her legs are fresh, her explosiveness is fully restored, and she is not being forced to play 38 exhausting minutes. When she is allowed to dictate the pace without the heavy anchor of fatigue dragging her down, she is mathematically unguardable. But nobody in the mainstream sports media is talking about the specific analytical fixes that actually showed up on the floor tonight. Over the past week, we laid out the specific non-negotiable changes this team needed to make to save their season and stop the bleeding. We said they needed to fix the free throw shooting, fix the minutes distribution, and fix the bench rotation. Tonight, the execution of those first two fixes was absolute perfection. Let us talk about the free throw shooting, because this is the silent, highly critical detail that separates championship organizations from lottery teams. Just days ago against the Washington Mystics, the Indiana Fever shot a horrific 68% from the line. They left 6 empty, completely uncontested points on the board and ended up losing by 2 points in double overtime. It was a catastrophic failure of discipline and focus. Tonight, the free throw shooting was a masterclass in professional execution. The Indiana Fever shot 22 of 22 from the charity stripe, 100%. Not a single missed free throw in the entire basketball game. In a contest, they ultimately won by 11 points. Those guaranteed points at the line were the absolute, undeniable difference maker. Every single player who stepped to the line was completely locked in. Caitlin Clark was 9 for 9. Sophie Cunningham was 6 for 6. Lexa Hull was 3 for 3. Misha Hines-Allen was 2 for 2. That level of perfection does not happen by accident. That is a team that recognized a glaring, fatal weakness in their game and completely eradicated it through sheer willpower and focus. The second major fix, managing Caitlin Clark's minutes, also worked flawlessly. By playing just 23 minutes, her decision-making remained razor-sharp in the half court. Her shot selection was impeccable because she was not forcing up desperate, heavy-legged jumpers at the end of the shot clock just to bail out a stagnant offense. The coaching staff finally, after weeks of relentless criticism, executed the load management plan they had been preaching all off-season. And the direct result was the most efficient, dominant game of her young season. And because Clark was orchestrating the offense with such incredible precision, the supporting cast finally answered the bell in a highly meaningful way. We absolutely have to talk about Kelsey Mitchell. After a week of heavy, incredibly justified criticism regarding her selfish shot selection and her complete lack of playmaking vision, Mitchell answered the critics tonight. She dropped 17 points on 8 of 18 shooting. But the most important critical number next to Kelsey Mitchell's name in the box score tonight was not her point total. It was her plus-minus rating. She was a plus 21. Every single time Kelsey Mitchell stepped onto the floor, the Indiana Fever were systematically and ruthlessly destroying the Seattle Storm. And in a moment that truly signifies hell freezing over in the WNBA, she actually recorded 2 assists. Listen, when the shot selection improves, when she plays within the natural flow of Caitlin Clark's system instead of trying to play isolation hero ball, and when the passing is even marginally existent, Kelsey Mitchell transforms from a liability into a massive, highly destructive offensive asset. Sophie Cunningham also had the exact breakout game that Fever fans desperately needed to see. After 3 highly inconsistent outings, stepping up into the starting lineup due to unexpected injuries, Cunningham delivered 17 points on 5 of 9 shooting, including that vital, perfect 6 for 6 from the free throw line. She brought an intensity and a fire that has been sorely lacking. The bench front court finally delivered as well, with Michaela Timpson grabbing 6 hard-fought rebounds and scoring 6 points in 17 minutes of action. She was blocking shots, protecting the rim, and celebrating with a passion that infected the entire roster. It was a beautiful thing to watch, but do not let this victory fool you. Do not let the highlights and the high shooting percentages blind you to the reality of this situation. Because despite the victory, we have to talk about the glaring, highly concerning issues that head coach Stephanie White and the front office are still actively refusing to address. This win does not erase the systemic rot underneath the surface. First and foremost, Aliyah Boston did not play tonight. She was officially listed as did not dress due to illness or injury. We are going to have to track this situation incredibly closely over the next 48 hours, because Aliyah Boston is the absolute undisputed anchor of this front court. If this is a simple short-term illness, a 24-hour bug, the team survives. But if this lingers, if this is a recurring physical issue, the massive, gaping front court depth problem that fans have been screaming about all offseason immediately upgrades from a minor concern to a full-blown franchise crisis. The front office, in all their infinite wisdom, let their backup bigs walk in free agency. They did not secure a reliable veteran presence in the paint. If Boston misses significant time, the interior defense will completely collapse against elite competition. You cannot survive in this league without rim protection, and right now the Fever are walking a very dangerous tightrope. And then there is the deeply frustrating, completely baffling Walker Kimbrough mystery. The analytics, the raw data, and plain common sense explicitly dictated that Walker Kimbrough needed to get 10 to 12 minutes a game to relieve the starting guards and provide a necessary, proven, scoring punch off the bench. So what did head coach Stephanie White do tonight? Did she integrate the veteran into the rotation? Did she utilize her experience? No. She gave her exactly 3 minutes and 14 seconds of playing time. 3 minutes. After keeping a highly capable, proven professional scorer in street clothes for 3 consecutive games, Stephanie White gave her a completely meaningless, insulting token appearance. Walker Kimbrough went 0 for 1 from the field and registered a -9 rating in those 3 chaotic, disjointed minutes. That is not a real rotation decision. That is a coach throwing a player out onto the floor for 3 minutes of garbage time, just to silence the critics and say to the media, "Look, I played her." The Walker-Kinsta situation remains completely unsolved, and it points to a deep, underlying disconnect between the coaching staff and the roster. It is a stubborn refusal to adapt, a refusal to utilize the tools available on the bench. But frankly, none of the coaching decisions, none of the tactical adjustments, and none of the box score statistics matter if the building itself is empty. And that brings us back to the most terrifying, economically devastating reality of the night. Gainbridge Fieldhouse has an official maximum capacity of 17,274 screaming fans. It is widely considered one of the premier basketball venues in the entire world. The official attendance tonight was reported at exactly 14,505. That means there were 2,769 empty seats for a Caitlin Clark masterclass. Nearly 3,000 empty seats. Think about the gravity of that number. In her historic rookie campaign, the waitlist to get into this building was thousands of names long. You could not buy a ticket to save your life. The secondary market was exploding, with tickets selling for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. Tonight, you could literally walk up to the box office and get into the building for $8. $8. And yet, nearly 3,000 people still looked at the product, looked at the leadership, looked at the head coach, and decided to stay home. This is officially the least attended regular season game in the entire Caitlin Clark era. That is the Stephanie White effect in numerical, undeniable, financial form. The confusing, evasive press conferences where the coach refuses to take accountability. The baffling refusal to openly praise Caitlin Clark's historic accomplishments without attaching subtle caveats. The back-to-back overtime home losses caused by poor clock management. The bizarre benching of star players when they catch fire. The completely toxic internal politics. All of it has combined to completely and systematically erode the casual fans' willingness to show up and spend their hard-earned money. The diehards are still watching. The basketball purists are still tracking every single stat. But the casual fans, the families who pay premium prices to be entertained, the people who buy the jerseys and the hot dogs and the parking passes, they are executing a devastating, highly effective financial boycott. They are hitting the Simon family ownership group directly in the bank account. They are sending an undeniable message that money talks louder than anything else in professional sports. The message is simple. We love Caitlin Clark, but we will not fund an organization that allows a head coach and a front office to mismanage a generational talent. We will not pay our hard-earned money to watch incompetence. Here is the incredibly bitter irony that the front office simply refuses to acknowledge. The exact blueprint to fill those 3,000 empty seats back up was executed on the court tonight. It is not a secret formula. Manage Caitlin Clark's minutes so she can actually breathe. Let her completely run the offense without interference or micromanagement. Support her with a functioning, engaged bench. Make your free throws. Play disciplined, high IQ basketball. Win games by double digits. Do that consistently. Show the fans that you actually care about winning more than you care about internal power struggles, and the boycott ends overnight. The fans want to cheer. They are desperate to pack that arena. They want to buy the merchandise, they want to paint their faces, and they want to support this team. But they absolutely refuse to support incompetence, and they refuse to be taken for granted. Tonight was a massive, desperately needed step in the right direction on the basketball court. The Indiana Fever proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that they have the raw, undeniable talent to absolutely dominate when the system actually works and the stars are properly rested. But those 3,000 empty seats are a deafening, terrifying warning siren directed straight at the ownership group. The window to win back the trust of this highly educated, highly passionate fan base is rapidly closing. The Simon family cannot ignore the bottom line forever. The organization needs to match tonight's incredible on-court execution with total, transparent, off-court accountability. They need to address the coaching drama openly. They need to address the massive hole in their front-court depth immediately, especially with Aliyah Boston's health in question. And most importantly, they need to publicly and fully embrace the player who is generating every single dollar of their franchise valuation. They need to stop fighting the Caitlin Clark era and start building around it properly. This is the reality of the business of basketball. You can have the greatest player on earth, but if the foundation beneath her is crumbling, the empire will eventually fall. The Fever have a choice to make right now. They can look at those empty seats as a fluke, bury their heads in the sand, and continue with the status quo, or they can view it as the ultimate wake-up call. I want to hear from every single one of you watching this. Drop your most explosive, unfiltered take in the comments section below. Are you highly encouraged by Caitlin Clark's incredible 23-minute efficiency tonight? Do you think the coaching staff has finally figured out how to use her? Or is the Aliyah Boston injury, the disrespect of Walker Kimbrough, and the undeniable reality of 3,000 empty seats completely stealing the momentum of this victory? Is this financial boycott going to force the ownership group to make a drastic move? I read every single basketball opinion in that section, so let your voice be heard. If you want the cold, hard, unvarnished, analytical truth mixed with the raw, unforgiving reality of the sports business, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on that notification bell, because the season is finally finding its rhythm, the stakes are getting exponentially higher, and we are exposing the absolute truth every single game. The narrative is shifting, the fans are speaking with their wallets, and the pressure is on. We will see you in the next breakdown.